My name is Bangade McCarris, a Detroiter and I attend U of D Jesuit High School and Academy. First, I would like to thank the Michigan Education Excellence Foundation and our 5 college community partners for making this possible. To me, education is the gateway to being successful in life. College opens doors that will help me explore my interests. My parents have always taught me since I was a young boy that education is power. With a good education, you can do anything in life. After high school, getting to college is the next step in my life. My mother specifically stressed to me about how important it is. When I was younger, I didn't pay attention to these words in particular. But now, as I get older, I start to realize how important college is. It doesn't matter if you want to pursue medicine, architecture, engineering, the arts, or sports. College is the place to study your passion. College is the place where you can find yourself and know what you want to do in your life. Not every kid gets the opportunity to go to college, and I believe that the Detroit Promise Zone will help kids achieve their dreams of going to college. It is an important opportunity no matter if they go to a private, public, or charter school. It is something that will move the city of Detroit and its youth forward. It will motivate kids to do well in school and want to go to college. Educating the youth is an important factor in any city, and especially the city of Detroit. At Franklin Wright Settlements, Mrs. Monique Marks and the entire staff strive to give children and teenagers a future in education. I personally know Mrs. Marks, and she is a remarkable lady. Every year, Franklin Wright Settlements does a college tour. They take teenagers to different locations around the U.S. to show them different colleges. The college tour is a great head start and that lets teenagers learn about different colleges and where they want to go. All of my friends and I should be able to go to college even if our parents can't afford to send us. And I am proud to say our mayor believes the same thing. I'd like to introduce Mayor Mike Duggan.
That was terrific. I want to start today by congratulating the state Senate. This is a rare occasion that you had Republicans and Democrats. So today, 13 Republicans and 8 Democrats and the governor all came together to pass legislation that will return the school board of the city of Detroit back to our local elected officials. We'll put the EAA back into DPS. We'll pay off the $700 million the state has run up. And we'll set up a locally appointed Detroit Education Commission that'll have a single standard of education for every public and charter school in this city. I think it is remarkable that we got people to get past the traditional Republican-Democratic divisions and sat down and said what's good for the state and what's good for the children of Detroit. And I hope the House of Representatives will deal with it equally professionally so we can get this resolved. Because what we should be talking about are the kinds of things that we're talking about today. And I'm very pleased to announce today that the city of Detroit has committed long-term to a promise zone, and we are making a promise to every single child who graduates from a high school in the city of Detroit that you have your first 2 years of college paid for at a community college. It'll apply to everybody. The scholarship will be there. This is the kind of thing we need to do more of, and we're going to build from here to the point where we're ultimately going to raise money so that we have 4 years. But today, the promise is 2 years. There was legislation passed in 2008 in the state of Michigan that provided for promise zones and basically allowed a city to take a part of the property taxes that are generated as the city grows and put it away in scholarship funds for children. City of Detroit didn't do that, as it should have when they started. One of the requirements was that the private philanthropy community, private donors, have to do it for 2 years before the city can pass a promise zone resolution. And we are very fortunate to have Sandy Barua and the Greater Detroit Chamber of Commerce, who started in 2013. They started raising this money. They're the reason that any student who graduates from a Detroit high school this year has their first 2 years of community college guaranteed because they started it. And so what's going to happen now is this. Last year, the City Council approved a Promise Zone Board. Your Promise Zone Board members are sitting over here along with their chair, who you're going to hear from shortly, Penny Baylor. They're the people managing the money to make sure the opportunities are there for you. Last week, they formally sent a plan to the state of Michigan. That puts the Promise Zone in place. So what now happens is this, that starting in the 2018-19 year, we start to collect tax dollars that go into the fund. Between now and then, Sandy Barua and the Chamber are going to keep raising money, and then every year starting in 18 and 19, more and more of the tax money will go in, and we'll get $2 and $3 and $4 million a year go into these funds for children, so we'll be able to take the private donations matched with tax dollars, and that's how we can tell you that it doesn't matter today if you are in 10th grade or you're in 3rd grade. We can promise you that when your time comes, at least your first 2 years are going to be paid for because you graduated from a school in the city of Detroit. So you're going to get a chance to hear from all the people that made this possible, but I'm really glad to be here with the students, and hopefully some of you are going to take advantage of it. And I'll turn it back to our Master of Ceremonies.
I would now like to introduce Sandy Barua. He is the president and CEO of the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. I would like to thank you and the Michigan Education Excellence Foundation for making this promise a reality.
All right, everyone. Don't we have the best mayor in the country? You know, Mr. Mayor, I'm glad that your term is limited to 8 years because I think you're going to have some pretty stiff competition. And I think we're looking at Detroit, one of Detroit's next mayors. So thank you so much. All right, everyone. Where's Ashley Francis? Ashley, where are you? Everyone look at Ashley. She's doing the elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist thing here. Ashley is a graduate of Western High School. She's now attending Oakland Community College. But she's on her way to Grand Valley to study healthcare. The reason why Ashley has been able to attend Oakland Community College is because of the Detroit Scholarship Fund, which today is going to be named the Detroit Promise, because that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a promise. They are able to, any student in the city of Detroit, regardless of what kind of school they go to, DPS, EAA, charter school, a private school, a religious school, doesn't matter. If you live in Detroit and go to any school in Detroit and graduate, you have been guaranteed at least 2 years of community college. Thanks to the leadership of the Michigan Excellence Foundation, Governor Snyder, and now, today, Mayor Duggan and the City of Detroit are picking up this ball and carrying it into the future, and I couldn't be more grateful for your incredible leadership. You're the one who's going to make this happen for the future, for the city, and for the kids in this city. So, Mayor Duggan, thank you so very, very much. So, obviously, 2 years of guaranteed college for every student going to any school in Detroit is huge for our students and for our families who live in the great city of Detroit. But think of it in terms of what it means for our economy. Think of any house that has a for sale sign in front of it in the city of Detroit. And think of a sign right next to that for sale sign that says, "This house comes with 2 years of college guaranteed for your child." Do you think that will help repopulate the city of Detroit? Okay, this is call and response. Do you think that's going to help the economy of the city of Detroit? You bet it will. The Detroit Scholarship Fund, soon to be called the Detroit Promise, is a result of a partnership. It's a result of a partnership between Governor Snyder, the Michigan Excellence in Education Foundation, and the Detroit Regional Chamber. And we have some very important people here today that have made that happen. Steve Hamp, where are you? Steve Hamp, the chair of the Michigan Excellence Foundation. Steve, thank you so much. Wouldn't have happened without you. Now, obviously, this takes a lot of money, and the mayor has been very generous, saying that I have raised or the chamber has raised the money, actually overstating the case. Peter Remington. Peter Remington, you're the one raising the money. Thank you so much. Business leaders run when Peter walks in the room because he knows they're going to ask him for money for this scholarship program. And then where's Dennis Archer Jr.? Dennis Archer Jr., where are you? Dennis Archer Jr., vice chair of the chamber, huge supporter of this. The three of us came together to fund this 3 years ago, and over 1,000 students have taken advantage of it already. The great news is, with Mayor Duggan's leadership, with the city of Detroit and the city council backing this program and being committed to this program, they are going to take this program into the future. And what that's going to mean is two incredibly important things. And this wouldn't have happened without the Detroit City Council and Mayor Duggan leading the way. One, it guarantees the funding for the Promise Zone into the future. So this isn't just a 3-year program, this is a program for years to come. And the second thing is, this act by our mayor makes this Detroit's program. It's going to be a Detroit program for Detroiters, and that's the way it should be. So I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank the mayor's team, I want to thank the Detroit City Council for their leadership in this. So let's give it up for the mayor, his team, and the city council. And let me just end with this, especially for our students. To succeed in the global 21st century hyper-competitive economy, everyone, and I mean everyone, is going to need either a 4-year bachelor's degree, a 2-year associate's degree, or a certificate in a highly skilled area. That's the baseline. That's what it's going to take to compete and win in a hyper-competitive global economy. If you have one of those 3 things, you will win and you will succeed. If you don't, I fear you won't. The good news about today's announcement is that affordability will no longer be a reason for any student in Detroit not going to college. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to introduce the interim superintendent for DPS, Alicia Merriweather.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to start out by speaking to the young people. I see at these kinds of events, a lot of times young people are here and they're listening and they're saying, okay, when is someone going to talk to me? And what I want to say to you is that you have an opportunity today that all the rest of us who grew up in Detroit didn't have. And so I want to really encourage you to do everything in your power to get ready to receive that opportunity. So one of the things that's really important to remember about the Detroit Promise is that in order for you to receive the promise, you have to be accepted to a college, right? So you need to make sure that everything is in order so that you can receive the promise. And so I want to challenge all the young people here today. You have the promise. It's yours. It's guaranteed. It says right there, opportunity for college guaranteed. But the part of it that's your responsibility is making sure that you have your grades in order and that you've done your studying and that you've done everything you can to receive the promise. So can I just ask very quickly for the young people, how many of you are willing to put in that work to receive the promise? I want to give a hand to our young people who are making a commitment today to receive this promise. And I also want to say, as I was thinking about all of this, Advantage Detroit. This is a Detroit promise, but this is Advantage Detroit. And for all of us that live in the city of Detroit and are proud to call this place home, I think we all are rejoicing today because it's Advantage Detroit children. It really, really is. And I am so thankful to be here today to be a part of this great announcement. I do want to thank the mayor. I want to thank Sandy and everyone else who in this room. I don't know who to call out to say, raise your hand. It was you, it was you, it was you. But anyone in here who had a part in making this happen, with sincere thanks, I just want to say to you, you've done something significant for the children of the city of Detroit. I also want to just say this. The Detroit Promise provides a promise of something better. It really does. It provides something that was previously unavailable, and that makes it a promise that's worth listening to, and it's a promise that must be kept. And so as we move forward, I just want to thank everyone that got us to this point, and I want to encourage everyone. There is a responsibility for the students. There's something you have to do by a certain deadline, and so you need to make sure that you complete the paperwork on time. Has anyone read what that is? Somebody, anyone? Okay, I'm gonna give you, this is the Cliff Notes. By June 30th, you need to apply using the website address, and you also have to have your FAFSA forms done. So make sure that you get that done by June 30th to take advantage. In closing, I just want to close with my own Detroit promise, and that is I'm going to do everything I can to make sure every child in the city of Detroit knows about this opportunity. I will do everything I can to work with counselors, community groups, and everyone else so that no one misses out on the Detroit Promise. So can I also ask everyone who's here, young people, old people, can we all join together in that, making our own Detroit Promise to make sure that all of our young people know about this and that no one misses out? So I'm going to ask adults, if you're willing to help spread the word, would you raise your hand? I want to see, are we committed to making sure that no one misses out? All right, let's give a hand to everyone who made this possible, and I just look forward to the results.
Now I would like to introduce Ralph Bland, a Detroit native. He is the president of the Detroit Edison Public School Academy.
Good afternoon. I'm really the superintendent of Detroit Edison Public School Academy, and very much proud and happy to be here today to represent the Detroit Promise. Now, it's a couple of things we must keep in mind. That is very critical that our young people pursue not getting to college, but a college degree and graduating from college. So when we're in high school and we're thinking about, I need to graduate, I need to go to college, our focus should be college graduation. That's the focus. So the Detroit Promise offers this opportunity for you to do that. And we can't miss an opportunity, because the opportunity can come in a short window. And when that window closes, that opportunity isn't there anymore. So definitely, as a native Detroiter and standing in front of you today, it's critical that we must continue to press on different opportunities that can afford our children to graduate from college. Now, can you raise your hand if all of us are planning to go to college? Good, good. Can we take a scan? Keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Can you scan that for me? Good. So I'm going to close out by saying, let's remember that all of us play a part in the Detroit Promise. And we can't just stop it for the next couple of years. We can't just start it for the next couple of years. This is something we have to make sure that goes on even after these young people graduate from college in the next couple of years. Thank you.
Now please welcome to the stand Kari Turner, the Executive Director of the Coleman A. Young Foundation.
Can we give our MC another round of applause? Fellow Cubs, we shout each other out whenever we see each other. So I was class of '88 and he's class of tomorrow. So I had to take a moment and just recognize him and the fine job that he's doing. Way to go, my man. Coleman A. Young Foundation is here as a supporter and a cheerleader of Detroit's Promise. And I have to tell you, Mr. Mayor, in 1982, when the foundation was founded, Mayor Young said something to Bob Berg, who was his trusted friend and confidant, and press secretary. Of all the things that I've accomplished, the establishment of Coleman A. Young Foundation may be the greatest thing that I've done. The reason that he said that was because he understood that of all the buildings built and things done within communities and on the waterfront, if we don't invest in our young people here in the city of Detroit, it's all for naught. So to that end, Coleman A. Young's Foundation supports any effort that is made to take care of our youth, because you guys are really our most precious resource. Many of us in this room are parents. When we take off our titles, we go home and we're cooking dinner and telling folks to get into bed early and waking up early, making sure you get up and out on time. We're the parents that get on your nerves out of obligation, but out of love for you. So this foundation applauds any effort that is made to get behind you and to support your future and your education. Let's be honest, problems are not solved in a day. So what Detroit Promise is doing is really an acknowledgement that this is a long game, that it takes a sustained effort, that sometimes the metrics of 1 year, 2 year gains don't suffice in measuring your success. We have to stick and stay with you through the long haul. So I hope to all the students in the room today, you're excited at this opportunity, because what it really means is that although it's been said that Detroit could have done this years ago, it's being done. My granddad used to always say, you're late, but you're here. And that's the good thing. This is here, today is happening, and what it means is that your future is guaranteed. It also means that you, unlike kids throughout America, get a chance to get through 4 years of college on the cheap. Because one of the strongest points of advice that we sometimes give young students is to start at the community college level, take care of your prerequisite courses on the cheap end, and then when it's time to move into your major, then go and transfer to a 4-year institution. That's a strong, strong strategy, and this gives you an opportunity not only to do it, but then when the 4-year agreements kick in, to take advantage of those as well. So now, college for you all is not a question of if, it's a question of how. And that leads to the suggestion that was given to you just a few moments ago. How are you going to prepare? What are you going to do? How much effort are you going to put into the work of getting ready for that next level of life? And once you're ready, are you going to embrace all of the work? Because we've all learned, those of us who are a little bit older, that shortcuts get you cut short. So are you willing to do all of the work involved? That is our expectation of you now. And that expectation is heightened once you know that you can wake up every morning saying, college is going to happen for me. But am I going to happen for college? The ball is in your court now. Bounce the ball. Make the shot. Take the shot. And as far as the Detroit Promises or the Detroit Promise Zones, and the Coleman A. Young Foundations of the world are concerned, our expectation of you is that you do the work that is asked, that you ask for the help when it's needed, because none of us in this room use all of our strength until we ask for somebody's help. That's been proven today by this agreement that's been struck on your behalf. And then go when it's time. But as we say at Coleman A. Young Foundation, bring what you learn back home. At CAVE, 90% of our scholars graduate and 60% come back to the city of Detroit. You guys are the next generation of talent, the next generation of leadership, our next professional class. We need you to happen, and then we need you to come back home and help to keep this city beautiful. So to that, Coleman A. Young Foundation and our board and staff say kudos to the Detroit Promise Zone. Thank you for doing this, and we look forward to seeing you out in the battlefields where we make sure that their education happens. Thank you all. See you at graduation.
Finally, I would like to introduce Penny Baylor. She is the chairwoman of the Detroit Promise Zone Authority Board.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Isn't this the most exciting day? This is fabulous. Because I always tell people, I love what Dan Gilbert is doing and all of our other wonderful billionaires, but it doesn't matter if we can't get our kids through college, especially can't get our kids even through high school in some cases. This is what matters. This is what matters to me. It's the only thing that matters, and I can enjoy all the other stuff too. But I have to first say, let's give another hand to our wonderful MC. What a fine job he's doing. You better watch it, Mr. Mayor. He may be after your job soon, so I don't know, in 8 years, that's a little quick. But the other thing is, in the light of the horrible things going on in Europe today, I just can't talk without mentioning how heartbreaking that is. And I wonder when this will ever stop, the violence toward innocent people, to make a point. The last I heard, it was 30 people had died and hundreds injured in Brussels. It'll get a larger number. But this is something we have to take very seriously, doing damage to innocent people. And that relates to what we do when we don't educate our children. Our children were born innocent. My children were born innocent. Your parents' children, you guys were innocent. You were just happy and hungry and loud and all that, but you were innocent. All our children are born innocent, and if we don't educate them beautifully, we do damage to them because the rest of their lives depend on that education. The rest of their lives depend on being inspired by an Alicia Merriweather, who went to school with my son at Go Lightly. I just have to say that. Kari did too. So, I mean, this is so wonderful when we have ties like this. And I've only been in Detroit 41 years, not like the rest of you that were born here. I've lost all my accent, but I'm from Atlanta. But I married a lifelong Detroiter, and so I feel like a lifelong Detroiter, and I'm never leaving. He used to say, I had to drag Penny here kicking and screaming, but now wild horses couldn't get her out. That's true. And that's the way I want you guys to feel when you grow up and get that college degree because of this wonderful opportunity. But you can't get it unless you do what the mayor said, what Sandy Barua said, what Alicia said, what Kari said about June 30th. I hope you wrote that down or you memorized it in your brain. Because when you miss a deadline like that, sometimes you can't make it up. It's over. Don't miss deadlines. Don't miss this opportunity. Tell your friends to do the same thing because now the first 2 years of your tuition is going to be paid. And when I was so privileged to be on Sandy's advisory committee for the Detroit Scholarship Fund, one of the first things I asked was, well, why can't we have 4 years? I don't want people in Kalamazoo, they have a great promise they've had for 10 years. And they started off, I think, with a wonderful billionaire who just funded it. So all you billionaires out there, if you have any extra change, you could help us do that. See Peter Remington. But we don't do it that way. We're going to do it with Detroit's money, with Detroit's property taxes, with money that Detroiters have paid into a good work. So you can then have 4 years of college. Maybe you that are now graduating, you'll get the 2, but you're going to lead the way. You can come and be on this board, and you can lead the way to 4 years. Another thing I want to say, it's very important to me that not only when we do the 2 years or the 4 years, that we have people at those colleges to support the students. Sometimes you send a kid off to college, they've never been out of town before, no one in their family has ever been to college. It's a totally foreign environment and demanding schedule, and they fall apart and they don't make it. Everybody needs some support once they get to that college. And we're going to make sure that this scholarship fund can provide that. And we checked the law, and it does allow us to use our budget for support services for the students. So you can be sure that we're going to make sure of that. It'll take a while, but we're going to get there. So we want to not only send them to college, but support them to make sure they graduate. I wish more of you had support like that even in high schools, and I know Alicia would like that too. We were talking earlier, we want art, music, drama, dance, and sports and physical education in every school. That's what you need to have a complete, well-rounded life. So I just say to you, you are the leaders, you're going to go get your degrees, and you're going to come back to Detroit, I hope. Now, I know my son went off to Chicago and New York, my daughter did too, but I wish all of you would come back home. You've got to come back home and be the next mayor, and be the next head of the chamber, and be the next board member of the Detroit Scholarship Fund, and you can say, I was sent to college because of this. I want to say one last thing that's my favorite saying. I don't know where this came from out of my brain somewhere decades ago. I always like to say, where is it written that we can't do this? Where is it written? There's no law against doing this. We have a law that says we can do this. It is not written anywhere, and if it is written in a law, we can change the law. But we are going to do this, and you are going to do this, and don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Nobody should tell you that. And if they do, they say, I'm going to do it no matter what you say. So just always remember that. Where is it written that we can't do this? And we can, Detroit, so let's do it. Thank you. This is going to be fabulous.
I would now like to ask that all of our speakers come up to the podium, and the board will be open for questions.
All right.
Penny, you answer.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
I heard mention that there was a local someday extending it to 4 years. I'm wondering if there's any consideration of making it possible to use those 2 years at 4 years.
Yeah. The statute, as it's written, provides that we can pay for the 2 years of community college with the tax capture. But then what we're going to do beyond that, and particularly if this legislation gets through the House and the Detroit Education Commission is set up, we are going to go all out to raise extra philanthropic money to fund 4 years. But the law, as is written now, does not allow that.
Can you say who some of the major donors are to the initial links of this?
I couldn't hear you. Say it again?
Peter or Sandy? You guys want to talk about your donors?
I'm sorry. Say it again?
Peter, do you want to talk about who the donors are that got us going here? So here's Peter Remington, the man that got the fundraising started.
I'm used to being on the spot. We already have had a couple of major foundations. We're not going to get into goals because I know some of the reporters want to ask that, but I will tell you is that 3 foundations have already stepped up with $1 million gifts. 2 of them have set it up as matches. One I certainly can mention because he's fine with that is the Eli Broad Foundation has set up. The other one will be making public, and then the third one will come out in a couple of weeks. There is tremendous interest among not only the foundation community, but corporate Detroit, because obviously this is in their best interest to have well-trained employees in the future, as the mayor, Penny, and others have said.
And I just forgot to say something. I wanted to introduce our board members. They're scattered all around. So Detroit Promise Zone Authority board members, please stand up and hold up your arms so we can see you. All right, there you are over there. We have 11 seats on our board. 9 are now filled, and it's a public entity, so we're subject to the Open Meetings Act, so you'll be able to get all the information you need.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, can you actually detail the specific community colleges that are going to be part of this Promise partnership?
So they got them on a chart here, but I can do it. Wayne County Community College, Henry Ford Community College, Oakland Community College, Schoolcraft Community College, and Macomb Community College. I did that all from memory. But any one of those 5. So if you go to the DetroitScholarshipFund.com, it is .com, right? DetroitScholarshipFund.com, you can see the information right now on how to sign up. And Ms. Merriweather has made it clear you got till June 30th, but don't wait till the last week. Any other questions? All right. Go ahead. We got a student with a question. Those are the 5 to start with. But we have other programs. Where are you thinking about going? Okay. So those are the 5 that we're starting with, but you hang in there with us, we're going to add more. Okay, but there's 5 good choices to begin with. Anybody have any other questions? Yes, sir.
Is there a GPA?
There is not a GPA requirement for this program. So you need a high school degree, right?
You need a high school degree, and you need to be accepted into the community college. So, so technically, as the mayor said, there is no GPA requirement, but you have to test in. And if you, the nice thing about this program is that it will cover remedial courses if you need them. Now, you don't get college credit for remedial courses, but you can go a long way taking those remedial courses if you need them to make up any deficiencies you might have in your academic record, and then you're good to go for the rest of the program.
It looks like Steve Hamp wants to add to that answer, so we've got our expert here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, Sandy County high school degree, any school in science.
Right. High school degree from any high school in the city of Detroit. If you happen to go to Hazel Park schools, you're out of luck.
And live in Detroit.
Yeah, right.
And live in Detroit. So live in Detroit, any school in Detroit.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
I would like to thank you all for believing in us and giving us this opportunity, because a lot of people can't afford college, and this is the next step to further our education. So I would like to thank you all on behalf of Franklin Wright, on behalf of all the students.
Well, you're welcome. All right. And with that, we're finished. Thank you very much.